thinking that. Yeah. I didn't expect that I will find no picture with a with figures. And the one that I found was so complex. And so I thought, you know what? That's what I'm going to teach, how to simplify things.
All right,
There you go.
So I'm Margaret Fago, the president of the Frank Betts Center for the Arts. And we've been doing these monthly painting demos starting, when did we start? Last June? When we realized that we were not going to be able to do last year's plein air paint out, and we wanted a way to be able to connect with our artist community and showcase all of our wonderful artists. So we've been asking some of our plein air artists, some of our instructors, some of our artist members of the community to do demos for us. And so today we're going to have Duree Waseem doing a demo. And
Duree is going to be painting a scene with figures. She does a lot of plein air and portrait painting, and we've seen some of her portraits. They're really wonderful. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Duree. And we still have folks joining us from Cabo and other places.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Hello, welcome all my friends and all the attendees. Thank you for being here. So today I will be painting from this photograph that I took in Alameda. I wanted the reference to be from Alameda. It is where Frank and Betty Center for the Arts have hosted this event. And this was the only one that I could find with some figures. Now let me talk about the photograph first. This photograph is a zoomed portion of 1/5 of the actual picture. And I zoomed this area because of the two figures here. And in the background, we see a lot of things going on, a lot of chaos. Well, I thought that this would be a good excuse to show you how I can simplify all this chaotic and busy photograph. So when we do come across such a situation, I'm a plein air painter. And one thing that we know when we go out and paint, that we never ever get everything perfectly laid for us. We have to pick our point of interest, and then we have to maybe take away a few things and focus or enhance or sometime exaggerate some other things. This is what I'm going to do from this photograph. And I have used my content, this pencil, to draw the figures here. And so there are some tricks that I do when I'm drawing from the photograph, the perspective line, which might be a crude way and not too reliable. But I put my pencil here and I continue the angles. That's how I get the angles on my photograph. I don't know if it is a good tip or not, but that's what I do when I have this perspective going on. So here, it seems like a grandpa and the child coming back from sailing. I wish I knew more about sailing, and I do notice that they are holding white bags. Maybe that's the trash collected from their, they need to clean their boat. So I have this main figure here, and then I am going to, out of all the busy background, I'm going to draw, I have drawn this boat. It will give you the idea of the place, right? So now how am I going to do? First of all, I always squint. I think that's a good idea. I'm going to work on the tones and simplify the values to maybe 3 degrees, or what you call it. So I'm definitely going to focus on the figures here and see how I'm going to connect that figure with the background and the foreground. We see that in the shadow, the path that they are walking on, and some shadow as the shadow of the boat. I'm going to connect it so that it moves in a circle, like in a flow, narrow in the background, and as the dark tone comes in the foreground connecting these figures, it takes more portion. So this is going to be all my darker value, the entire thing, and in that darker area I'm going to place my figures. So which is, let me just mark down where it will be. That way I'm actually defining my composition also. So this is all going to be shadowed area. All my darker value is going to construct my composition. And when I do that, you might notice that this dark of the boat um, overlaps the figure, the dark of the figure, and we'll see how we will deal with that. How are we going to separate those two darks? So when we are working on a composition, we always lay down our composition first. We lay down our design, which is actually the dark against light, the flow or the connecting darks, and how it leaves a path for our light. For my colors, I'm not using too many colors, just the basic. There are three basic primary colors. So yellow, red, and blue. And of course, white. I do put a little bit of white on my dark area as well. So I have two, like, I also give importance to the temperature of color. And you know how I was telling you that how we will separate these two darks, that the temperature is going to control that. So I like to keep lighter yellow and darker yellow, which is lemon yellow and then cadmium yellow. And then I have cooler yellow is lemon yellow and warmer is cadmium. Then I have cadmium red toward warmer, and then alizarin crimson, my cooler red. I do use burnt sienna mostly for warmer shadows, or sometimes for just my drawing or blocking in. And then I have three blues. My cooler is cobalt, and ultramarine is my warmer, which can also be used cooler depending on how much white you use and what are the surrounding colors. And then this is the tricky blue, which is Prussian blue. I love to use it. I use it for my darkest dark, which I would not recommend for the beginners, if because this color is very invasive and it can dirty your other colors. Uh, to begin with, I'm going to block my darks, and I like to start from the warmer grays or darks, but not make it too blackish. I'm just touching it with a slight bit of white. So this will be my palette. And as I'm mixing, I will be um telling you the names of the colors that I am mixing. But there is not just in the name of the color, but there is also the ratio. When we mix two colors, if I tell you that I'm mixing cadmium red with ultramarine blue, so you the ratio always differs. So basically, when I'm going to block my darks, since if I look at the colors, there aren't many colors. It's all the shades of blues that I see here. That's what I am going to use to block. So when I'm blocking my dark, I'm also kind of laying a path for my design. I like to start with my main point of interest. And in the beginning, when I block in my darker tones, I'm going to use more solvent and only a hint of pigment. So about this background.
Is that so that you do not lose your drawing at all, Duree?
Oh no, I will. No, not because of that. Well, yeah, that I was going to come to that also. Um, well, I would say whether you are um, working in watercolor or you're working in oil, your first layers should have less pigment and more of the medium, in case watercolor, water, in case oil, more solvent. Because when I talk about composition, it's not only the colors that help you with the composition or the design, it is also the texture. And this is one reason, right? So I like to keep my darks more um, like flowy and thin. And as you develop more lighter tones, you can have a thicker impasto. It just adds more depth to it. The darks look more receding, and the lights, they jump out more. This might not be the main reason, but the main reason is that oil doesn't dry that quick. So if I put my first layer thick, then it will keep mixing with my top layers, which I cannot handle. Many others might be able to do that, but so as you are blocking in, even when I'm blocking, it's not just the blue and red that I'm using. Okay, there is this. Okay, there's another one thing I want to show. I do use different styles of brushes, flat. Um, what is this? Filbert, flat. Well, this is also flat. It has become filbert. And I do use round also, especially for drawing and for details. And I use palette knife, especially at the end, to put more thicker impasto. One thing that a couple of years I have discovered this nice spatula. I can always remove or scrape the colors that I don't want. I do like to use, alla prima style and not paint layers upon layers. So what I use this spatula, which can be anything made of silicone. It can be art supply, or it can be from the things for bakery, for baking. Those spatulas also work. So.
Which solvents do you use?
This is Gamsol, but I use terpenoids. They are all the same. I personally don't find any difference in it, but I do know that when you are in an event or when you are working in someone else's studios, some artists are allergic to terpenoid. So Gamsol claims to be more what you call environmentally eco-friendly. So when I'm with a group, I do use Camsol. Otherwise, I use any kind of solvent that's available in market.
And where did you get that particular spatula?
You know,
Do
someone
they have
asked
it at art
earlier
stores or
it was from art store.
art store?
But you know, I also use this spatula, which I bought from Walmart. So this is for baking.
Yep, that's the one I use.
Yeah, they both are equally good. So now, I'm going to keep my values here in the middle, not too dark and not too light, until I go to the end when we have to chisel out our figures, right? So mixing more of cobalt blue with my cadmium yellow. When I say cadmium yellow, it's very little. More of cobalt blue and white. I do mix, and I'm going to show you here. I like to mix my gray, take a good amount of blue and a bit of cadmium yellow to make this coolish kind of gray with me, which when I'm making color, I will be picking my blue like cooler grays from there. And I will make some warmer gray by mixing some of the burnt sienna and again cadmium, right? So this is I'm showing, I will be adding these two colors. So I have, you know, if you look at the colors that I have in this photo, it's mostly blues and this kind of muddy color, which I mixed in front. And other than that, if I do add some colors, it would only be for, you know, entertainment, to just give more interesting look to my book. Okay. I am more of a linear person than filling all the planes. You know, these lines which are hardly noticeable, but I like to give them a warm light wash. Since the light is falling on it, and they are actually gray, but I'm going to just give a yellowish. Oh, that's too yellow. Maybe mix. Oops. It's going to spill my right. And this also is in white. So as I am filling the areas, as I'm blocking in, my strokes are following the movement I want to give to my painting. It's like stay inside the frame and let your brush dance in that flow. That's, see, already you can see a bit of my boat here and my figures. So when I'm working and I'm blocking in, it's kind of a background to my main figures as well. As I'm blocking in this area of maybe the boat or the path. It's also defining the leg of the figure here. And squint and you'll see which area is going to be the darkest dark. And I see it around the figure, which is good because it's going to enhance. There are actually two girls if you look closely. And how I can tell, there are actually two arms. I can't see any other limb or any other head, but two arms. So there might be two figures, which of course makes no sense if I add that one. Okay, then there's this also, another railing which I'm missing out, which is this one. Let me draw my yellow line for that. That way I will also, I don't have a great memory. I keep forgetting also. So this way I'll remember that there is this railing going that way. I don't mind having any questions from you as I am filling in the dark areas. I wish he was wearing some other color hat, but I might change it in the end if I feel like. Okay. And I'm going to.
So you're adding colors that don't show in the photo, which are mostly grays. Is that part of your blocking?
Yeah, I'm still blocking in. We are still.
And the
working on-
blocking is to, well, what, establish the values?
and my design through the values.
I see.
The main design or the flow or main point of interest are these two figures, right? This is my main point. So the background is going to help the eye, to rest on the figures. So I'm blocking in to create that flow. I have simplified and blocked in the background. My main is the figure and secondary is the boat here.
Uh-huh.
And all this area is in the shadow.
And your choice of yellow, is that a typical choice? The cadmium mixture?
Yeah, yellow could be, if I am using orange, it can be that because the light is falling on it. And this is just I have only drawn it, but when I paint it, I would like to leave some of that yellow popping out, like the light hitting on it. I am working on in the negative area right now around the figure. As I said, there's too much going on around it. So all those things that I don't want to speak about, I'm hiding it with
I see.
a simplified darker tone. And this is it. And then that was the darkest one that I'm going to use. And now coming to my middle tone, I will still be using the same cobalt blue, and this time a tiny hint of alizarin crimson with lemon yellow and blocking my middle tones.
Do you always start with a white canvas, or do you sometimes use a different color for tone?
Most of the time white.
And if you used a tonal color, what are the circumstances?
You know what? As you mentioned, I do watercolor also. So I have the same kind of mindset to leave the white canvas for the lightest area or the highlights. I have noticed if I put the highlight on the tone canvas, it doesn't give a sparkling kind of light as compared to the white, white bare canvas. You know, no matter how opaque we say oil paints are as compared to watercolor, they still are somewhat transparent, and some of the colors are more transparent than others. So the white does show through and adds the brightness. So right now I am only blocking in the shapes without, well, I do have in mind what it is, uh, even if I don't know the names of these things, but I'm blocking in the shapes which are typical of the harbor, or it, that's what you say, right? A boat place.
Yes,
So yeah, keeping in mind their typical shapes, that's what I'm blocking in. But I'm not particularly like painting the mast or the boat or any particular portion. It's just the shapes that I'm taking down. And when in some areas some portions which are more important for me, like the top of this boat, I will be more careful in putting down the shape so that it gives the look of a boat. And maybe add a bit more colors, warmer colors to my gray. That way it will bring the boat forward away from the background. So I have used some burnt sienna, red, kind of the same colors as this background, because the glass is transparent. So I don't want to use any different mix. It's the same colors that I have used in the background.
Was your foundational training in oil painting, or?
I started with watercolor. If you talk about the formal traditional training in Pakistan, when you take painting as your major subject, you're trained in watercolor first, and then you start oil in graduate level.
I see.
Yeah. So when I did my first, I was not a bad student. In fact, well, I was pretty good in watercolor, and then it was time for oil. I remember I cried because I did not know how to do the same thing in this. You know what was my biggest challenge? Since some of you might be new here, my biggest challenge when I did my first oil painting was to mix, to give light tones of brown. Whenever I would mix white to the brown, burnt sienna was the color, and I mixed it would make burnt sienna so chalky. So that was the hardest part. And I
Hmm.
tell you, when you do mix your darks, give think if your dark is in a cooler dark or a warmer dark, and play with those warmer yellows and warmer um, reds to make that dark, and for the cooler one mix the cooler. That way, I don't think you'll have that problem of creating chalky colors. Well, that's
So
how I.
Nella tells us you're being modest, Duree. She tells us you were the star of the class and topped in the university in your master's.
Yeah, I did. Well, that came later on when I did manage to learn a few tricks, but my first oil painting was a disaster. So you see how convenient this tool is. I already drew all my uh, railings here.
Yeah, that spatula is very helpful,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
does half my job. This is my uh, assistant, and you can put the dark. Although this, I don't know the terms, but this shaft coming out, it is in,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not going to show it in that strong light because it's not adding much to my composition. So I will show it, but in I'll tone down the value. So at least by showing this perspective, we or I will drag from the background to the front. And now I'm going to actually start painting. Okay. I'm going to start with my blue. Actually, I'm tempted to use turquoise, but I'm not going to use it. So this is a nice color here.
Ooh, which colors are those? That's pretty.
Yeah, I am using Prussian blue, cobalt blue, and white.
Hmm.
So this is, if you have turquoise, that will be nice. I could use that too, but I was thinking of using limited palette. This is where I want all my action to happen, and the same blue. I'm going to, whether she's wearing this blue or not, but I would like to show a little bit here so that the eye has a nice path to travel.
So it looks like even when you paint close up, your hand is pretty far away from the tip of the brush.
Yeah,
Is
I,
that
I, oh, well, again, it will take us back to Pakistan, where that's what our training was, to paint larger canvases. So we
I see.
always painted large canvas and always painted with full arm and not
I
just.
see. I see.
So that's where I got that habit of holding my brush from like that. And also to step back and see, and it always helps and gives your arm more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since I'm not working in the background, I'm using ultramarine blue and white nice fresh blue color to stay in the middle ground or foreground.
So we have a question about comparing phthalo blue to Prussian blue.
If okay, first of all, I will tell you, phthalo is more on a greener side. That's what I feel, and Prussian is more like turquoise. Again, green, but yeah, that's what I notice. But now that I have answered your question, I don't know. I pick either one. They both work same for me.
Well, the phthalo blue stains more, right? I mean, that's more.
So does Prussian, no?
Prussian does too.
Yeah. Well, that's what I feel. You know, I might not be that accurate in that answer, but you know, I pick either one. Because I use it not to make color much, but to use to make my tones. So I
I
make my
see.
blacks with it. They
I
both
see.
work equally good. So I'm going to keep that fresh blue around my group of this figure and the you know, the boat. Okay, now coming to the faces so that you don't get discouraged and you do start seeing some figures. No need to add any feature right now. The colors I'm mixing is cadmium red and cadmium yellow into some dirty mix that was already on my palette. I'm going to get her gesture as she is walking. It's kind of straight. And also for man's face, which is in shadow. And now I'm going to mix my darkest dark, which is with my Prussian blue and cadmium red. I'm going to keep my dark only on the figures and maybe a little bit on the some place in the foreground. That's it. That's where my so also to define your figure, even if you don't see it there, apply some darks against light and light against darks. And that's how I'm going to bring out my figures. Some little dark here. And dark on her legs. Okay, and now mixing some, oh, I already have. Remember the mix, the warmer kind of mix that we had? I'm going to frame her head with that pillar behind her, which is lighter.
I struggle making figures. You're making it look very easy, even with less definition.
You know, they are easy when there's less definition. When you try to give more details, you're making it harder for you. One thing I cannot stress enough, do life drawing as much as you can. And I
Okay.
do life drawing all the time. And I think even through my student life, I used to go to, like, we used to have 9 hours of life drawing uh, in our university, but I would also go to city classes for life drawing. And even
Hmm.
now, I wherever there is life drawing offered, I'll go.
Yeah, we have a group when we don't have the pandemic
Yeah.
that meets Tuesdays to
Ah,
do life drawing, and that's
that's
the
great.
painters that do that really do figures better than certainly than the rest of us.
You know, I sometimes I drive like 60 miles just for life drawing. But now through pandemic, we are using Zoom for life drawing all the resources that I could. Croquis Cafe is one of a good resource which I use.
Danielle is telling us that anything will give up its secrets if you love it enough. That's Duree and figures.
Huh.
Yeah, your figures are really your portrait drawing is quite astounding. We
Oh, thank you so much. I love
during
people.
that prep session the other day, it was maybe during after the break you can show us that. Uh,
Oh, the p- portrait I did for
yes,
my.
the portrait that you had in the background.
Okay, okay, I'll show you.
You have can you tell us about the figure drawing website that you subscribe to?
Yeah, I'm subscribed to Croquis Cafe.
Crooked Cafe?
Croquis, I think croquis means quick gestural poses, and those Croquis Cafe, they have short poses. Oh, see, she was holding her bag in the other one. This is what, I usually do that. Sometimes I mix color, and then I forget where I was working on, and I start painting some other place. I did the same thing. Let me do her leg again.
So it's Croquis.
Yeah.
Croquis Cafe.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mark
uh,
telling us that Duree joins that group. Marta Gonzalez is in that group as well.
hmm. So my friend uh, offers life drawing classes in his studio, he has announced that, and I was very excited. Was looking forward to it, but um, the dates clash. I am going to go in a plein air event in
Ah,
Texas, so I won't be joining him. But it's fun to do it from live. But when you don't have it, then Zoom is not bad either. After all, I'm painting here through Zoom,
yes.
except that I'm painting crooked. I'm painting from a side so that I don't come in front of the camera.
You
Otherwise,
normally paint standing up,
I do.
Duree.
I do. I prefer to stand and paint so that you can step back and squint your eye and check your values. So that's also important when you do that, especially when you get when there's a lot going on and you need to simplify your values. Step back, squint your eye, and you'll see that you won't see any detail, but you will be able to see the design you're looking for. See, I'm using more warmer color on his clothes and his lights. then the background. And for the background, if I work on the boat, I will not be using as much of the cadmium yellow that I used on his jacket. What I'm using, I'm picking the premix from the palette. Let me show you the palette so that you get it. You know, see all the dirty colors. When I am mixing my white for the boat, I'm picking a little bit from here and here so that I can get the harmony in throughout the surface. So it's going to be my neutral gray when I am actually painting my boat. A thin line. So you know what, this will go higher. Although it's not taking off the color, as you mentioned that the blue stains the canvas. That's why I don't. That's why I leave my canvas white where I need my white to be, because the tone is still there. But at least I won't have thick paint that is going to disturb my final layer. It's not going to make my colors muddy. If I apply white, it'll stay white. It won't.
Oh, yes.
So that's why it is advisable to use more solvent and less pigment in the first layer. So make sure that aligns with the same area of the boat in the background. You may tone it down a little bit. You can, you know, it's not a photo, it's not a camera. You can always adjust your tones accordingly. They don't have to be as vibrant or as light or high key as in the photograph. If it doesn't serve the purpose and if it is distracting your main point of interest, you can always change it. So I'm not going to make, well, it is not as light as the front.
So it's getting to be close to 5 o'clock.
Is it?
We normally take a 5-minute bio break or 10 minutes and then come back. And so you don't have to do it right now.
You know, when you will go, you know what I will do? I'll stand in front of the painting and see if it is crooked or if, because I'm painting from the side of my canvas. So I'll get that freedom and I'll enjoy it. But well, you know, if you take a break, I can still like paint and people can still see.
We don't need to take a break if you don't wish to. It's just
No, I don't wish.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Even when I am in plein air event, I don't like to take any kind of like lunch break or break.
You don't need to wait until some of the paint dries to.
No, I don't do that. It's more alla prima. I paint while it is wet.
While it is wet, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
Duree
lose
has
interest.
graciously agreed to auction this painting.
Yes.
And so if you're interested in purchasing it, we're going to start the bidding at $150 and up, of course, not down. And so if you're interested in bidding on it, we will have now until the end of the session, and I'll let you know a few minutes before it ends so that you can get your last bids in.
Yeah, and also make sure it is worth bidding for.
Well, it certainly is so far.
So this,
it's amazing when you first started to finished your your blocking and started to paint it, you know, I wasn't sure whether it was going to be a hot mess or what was going on. But
No
now
one
it's
is
really,
ever, no, even I'm never sure. Whenever I'm painting, you won't believe it. It's been like 40 years now. And still, when I start painting, if I plan ahead, I always end up in a disaster. So I never ever plan ahead. But since I had no plan, every time I'm never sure.
that's risky. I'm impressed that you can take
I
take
have
risks
not a
like that.
choice. If I do plan, it's definitely a mess. I don't know if you call it, I don't know. I call it a kind of a curse. Like, how can I not plan ahead? So here I have this figure which we will be working on, and I'm going to add some. Well, let me step back and look at my work. Since it's a break, I can. Yeah, I do need to work on her leg. Yeah. You guys are so sweet. You never told me that her leg is kind of crooked.
No, it doesn't.
But now I fixed it.
We figured you'd come back and fix it at some point.
Yeah, I have.
So you use your palette knife a lot to paint with. Do you
Yeah, now
find
I
that's
have started.
because you can get sharper lines, or you're just used to using it?
Hmm?
Your palette, you seem to use the palette knife a lot
Yeah.
to paint.
Mm-hmm.
You can get sharper
Because
lines, or
I tell you why, I have recently started using palette knife. I didn't use it when I was there in Alameda Paint Out last year, but I have seen that the paint. If I'm working on an area which is already been worked on, then
uh-huh.
sometimes it mixes with my brush. So with palette knife, somehow it is more. It works with more authority, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mix with the under the first layer. So that's my main reason of using.
Mm-hmm. Sharper, yeah.
Otherwise, other you don't want to mix and make any mud, or the if you get more color there, it's harder to handle, and then you end up painting over more and more, and then the result is unnecessarily detailed work or overworked area, which already is quite challenging when to stop, and then you end up painting more. I hope my line is straight. Wait, let me check from here. Okay, I have to come to this side. Could have painted from this side. Do you know that I'm on the other side now? I was painting from my right side, and now I've moved to left. Okay, now I have to work here and create that contrast. So it's here. Okay, I know what to do. I'm going to mix my light with lemon cad yellow and white, which is quite light, light, and mixing that with this light that I made, which I showed you. So I think it's a little brighter than that, and it is going to bring out my. Oh, maybe this is. I think this palette knife is better for that. Yeah, this is in a way background or to my background, to my main figure. So it's kind of a negative area for my figure. And now I'm going to make t-shirt. It's going to be different from that white, and yet it is brighter. I want it to be sparkly. So what I'm using in white is ultramarine blue. Just a little hint of ultramarine blue to put this highlight on the t-shirt. In doing so, I need to be careful. It's a little too much. I have noticed if you have too many strokes, that also spoils your painting. So especially on your main area, try to use minimum number of strokes and be very calculated. So when I do feel that, I have worked more, then I scrape it off and then do again. Number of strokes also count a lot. Not too much. Okay, and now back to my dark. Why do I need dark? Because I'm still working on the figure. And now I'm going to work on the shadow.
So do you use any painting mediums when you're mixing your colors? Do you use any?
No, actually, no. Not that I'm against it. I don't feel the need of it. I mean, why would I use it? My paints are fresh out of tube, and so they have nice consistency. Um, so that's about all. I feel medium is, well, I would use medium if my paint is kind of dry, a little harder. If that happens, I may use linseed oil or walnut oil, which most of the time I don't even have out with me, but I like to keep it with me. You never know, you might need it. But I notice that I don't use it much. It's not intentional. I just don't feel the need of using it. Okay. The front. And look at this other shade. Well, I'm going to make my color. It's not going to be the same gray that he's wearing. So I've added a little bit of red to my gray. Show the side. I think that needs more shoulder. That is not good. And a little bit of maybe reflected light on his beard, which would be cooler.
So in the photo you moved the railing to show the girl's face because it was cutting off her head.
I didn't do it intentionally, but it happens without even knowing, because I was doing the head, and if I connect, I can do it.
Yeah.
I think one does it unintentionally. I didn't even notice it. So it's good that happened.
Yes, it is good. It looks.
But these are a few things that I think happen anyway, because we when we are painting, we are giving more attention to the figures. So these things, as I think was I telling you, it's like driving a car. So you are changing the gears without even realizing. The same thing happens in painting, sometimes you take some good actions without even thinking about it. So it's I was not even looking at the photograph. Well, photograph are there as a reference, but it's basically your painting which is more important for you.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens, if you follow your photograph too honestly, and you there are less chances of you solving some of the problems you might come across or being more creative. So do use photograph as a reference, but not something to really depend on or copy from. I didn't. Well, I am using green for her shirt again, but it could have been any color. Keep photograph in front of you, but follow um, your design and your flow, and only pay attention to the elements that are helping with that connection of shapes to help your story. Okay, now his belt. I'm going to again try to give variety in your line or outline. The belt I will exaggerate since the light is, I don't know, where is the light coming from? Yeah, coming from top and from the left. So I'm exaggerating the shadow on the right. Like this. And let's see, let's get rid of this white here. And and let's have some little nice light on his collar. Um, when working whites and lights, try not to put too much pressure uh, on the canvas, otherwise it will mix with the painting and the colors underneath. I don't even, I think I'm not even making the gray, his jacket gray as I was working, and working on the highlight, trying to keep it. Now I'm also using just white, no color added to it. Okay.
Makes it stand out really well.
Yeah, and in the mean, on the other hand, we can have just a hint of little toned down white in the background, just a little hint. I do try to uh, keep my strokes or the direction of my brush go along the shape or the plane. That way, the angles are more convincing. If it was this boat going that, and the blue boat was actually the other boat, not part of this one. Did you know that? I didn't notice it. Well, I don't know why, how I became an artist. I have very poor observation, by the way. Sure, somewhere it might be helping me, but I do hear from people, how did you become an artist? You didn't notice that? And yes, I had not. So this blue, I'm going to have kind of earthy kind of way to enhance the blue color. So the blue would appear bluer when placed with red or orange, as you might all know about the complementary colors. That's what I like to use.
What brand of line your line brush are you using?
It's a cheap one, Master's Touch.
Master's
Not,
Touch.
yeah, it doesn't last too long, but I buy any cheaper uh, thin liners for my oil painting so that I don't cry when I have to throw them away. I have used, good ones too. I use rosemary too, and I have crooked rosemaries with me. So that means I'm not great, although I try to keep my brushes nice and clean all the time, but I do end up having some bad experiences.
Does the solvent erode them over time, or
Huh?
the solvent, does that erode the brushes?
No, I don't think so. No, they are not eroded. I don't even think so. Um, Maybe I don't clean them right away. No, I did say that I try to keep it nice and clean, but maybe not all the time. So
Mm.
I'm not too organized. Poor girl is a little need to work on the face. I need to come closer. I hope I'm not blocking.
No, you're not. You
Okay.
can actually,
Okay.
that little touch of color made that nose stand out really well.
Okay. I have to come near my paintings for the little detail.
Yeah, we can still see.
Okay. Not too much of the detail, but since her face is in the light, and it's still a secondary thing to give detail to your figure, and it will be covered with the rod later. So I'm painting around, making the head might appear larger at the moment, but when I paint around it, it will be fine. Now okay, so let's do this pipe. Okay, let me come across to that side. And am I blocking?
No, it's perfect. I think it's great that you can see your whole face. I mean, that's very effective.
Okay, so I don't want the any highlight on this side of my rod. So covering that. Okay.
What color white do you use? Do you use a China white or titanium or?
Titanium. I'm a titanium person. I well, I used zinc white just to see, because I always buy titanium and use titanium. So I bought zinc white after my friend was using it. She's here. Rizwana, she said she always uses zinc. I said, okay, let me try it too. I must say that I think I still like titanium more. For zinc, I think you need to add more white, and it's less vibrant than titanium white. But titanium white takes longer to dry.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. The painting would dry in maybe 2 days, but the
Oh,
white
wow.
side might still be wet for another 2 days.
Really?
So that,
Wow.
and for white area or light area, we do tend to add thicker paint. That results in more slow drying.
So do you find that after a day or so, if it's still damp, that you do you find yourself going back and changing or adding or adjusting or?
No, nothing. I just wait. Or I might leave it under the sun and then bring it back and then have fan on. That's all I try doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if there is anything that we can do on it. How else can we let it dry? Some more detail on the boat so that the boat owner doesn't get offended. Just that bluish gray. I will mark somewhere here. Trying to get the design that we see around. And maybe one black mast. Oh, not the mast, the black fabric, whatever it is called. Okay. And now I will take my scraper and will pull out some of the, if I can, I'll pull some of the whites from the background. No, it has dried and it's hard to scrape now. But if that happens, then I'll just mix some um, cool, light grays. Squint my eye, try to see the pattern. Let's see. Look at the pattern that I see that and get that. Doesn't have to make much sense. With little variety in the width of the lines and the direction. And more clear line of the boat. Well, this is kind of warmer. I'm going to utilize that. I like to keep my warms and my intense values around the main area and not on the side of the frame or edge of the painting. More defined features here to know where you are of the location. Uh-huh. Okay, the front is actually in light. I'm going to get a fresh brush. This is that boat, but I'm not going to paint the boat or give any impression of the boat. Just getting the darks and the lights in.
And this is the place where you said you were going to come back and go around the head so it's a little smaller using the
dark against the dark, this dark against this dark.
no,
That's what
the girl's head.
Oh yeah.
You said you were going to come back and make it a little smaller.
Come back. And also now I'm on this side and I can see my head better. From this side I could not see. So when we are working on figure, it's not the work that we do on the figure that gives life to it or the form to that. It is also the area around that figure that's helping create the shape. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Okay, now this shoulder, we can define the shoulder with the background here. Now they are now coming down to the legs. Okay, now I'm going to draw this shadowed area of the rod. And I'm going to continue it. I don't know if it goes that far or not. And I'm going to work here. Here is the place where we see your dark shadows, shadowed part. And there's this line and that one. Okay. There is this line of that dark. So bottom part is mostly in dark.
Mm-hmm.
I will be leaving some vertical folds to give the variety of horizontal and vertical. So trying to keep, how all these lines, vertical and horizontal, kind of complements the diagonal of his leg and of his pose. So that's going to help with the gesture of these figures. So I don't worry much about what color I pick. I want it to be some warmer one. And although it's gray, but I added cadmium yellow to my gray, and that's the color that I got. It's greenish, which I don't mind. Doesn't have to be the gray he's wearing, but it's bringing out the leg from the back.
Mhm.
These are some of the decisions you have to make when you have this complex, uh, busy photograph with you. So you need to do what works to bring out your figures from your busy background. Okay. Now, again, about if you notice don't notice this, that's crooked. Anyway, I'm going to fix it. But if you notice how I'm working on my railings, I'm working in kind of broken lines and not drawing a straight line from one end to the other, as we can see in the photograph. Why I'm not doing it? Because I don't want the eye to get entangled with this rigid line. I'm going to use it where it needs to be darkened and give a nice contrast. I'll use it dark. Otherwise, I might even skip and not indicate the line there.
Will you skip the one, the last ones over her knee? I mean, you could, right? Because your eye.
Here, this one, yeah, right. I might skip it. I might or I might not. As I said, I don't plan ahead, and if I do, it never works. So I let my painting, lead me where it's needed. I will be using those shadows. They are interesting kind of element in my design here, and also I like that kind of rhythmic musical addition that they are creating. So you can emphasize on such detail, or if they seem to work, or you can just ignore them if they are in your way.
That's what it seems nice about oil painting. You can, if you don't like it, you can go back and change it. Whereas in watercolor, you're kind of stuck.
Yes. That's right. But I'm always very careful when I'm doing oil painting. I try to not like, even when I was blocking in my darks, I was trying to stay where I see the areas needed to be blocked in. I don't completely block in the light areas with my middle tones and then go back over it. I don't like doing.
So you let the blocking serve as the color for the, you don't need to go back and do anything more with it.
I try to use the same colors that I will be using.
Yeah, I see.
And it's not that, well, it might not suit one person, it might suit the other, because it doesn't work for me when I block the entire area like I see other artists do. And I get so inspired because they do some wonderful job by blocking in, then using their rag to take off. And then, that's their style. And it's not that I have not tried it, but it didn't work for me. So there is no hard and fast rule how you should do.
Uh-huh.
When you want, you can give it a try. But if it doesn't work for you, I don't think there is any reason to feel disheartened. It's not just for you. At this stage, yeah, I think I'm going to keep it, although it plays no function, this rod kind of thing. But I
Mm-hmm.
still like to keep it because otherwise it's too dark. It's a big dark chunk. So this will give a nice break to the dark. If I'm using it this reddish color, I'm going to repeat it here. Maybe put a little bit more red and cadmium and let it, even if it is not there, I, yeah, I don't see it there, but I do see the light on, these lights,
Mm-hmm.
which can not necessarily be white. I like to use color for this light. And I am adding cadmium red and cadmium yellow to my grays because I don't like to um, have any bright yellow orange light here. I want to reserve that for my figures. It's the same sun, the same intensity of light. In fact, the metal might be getting more light than the faces, but I don't like to use it here. It's not my major point of attraction.
So that it doesn't compete with the figures. They complement, you're saying.
Yeah, yes, I agree. I always have some white out on the dark side because if my brush is loaded with some colors, more dark and dirty colors, I don't want to pick from my nice white uh, blob of white. I like to pick up from the dark side. So here, okay, this is actually, it's not the path, it is some kind of horizontal plank. So I'm going to keep my, if it was a road that they were walking, I would be using my my tilted horizontal strokes. But since it's a flat, uh, I don't know what, is it wall kind of thing here. So I'm going to use vertical brush. Strokes also help with, oh, it has beans. I can move it closer. Okay. you know Now I'm much at ease painting from this side rather than standing far away on the angled side. Now I can see my painting as well as work. Okay, so if I now look at my work, the figures still need to get more attention, and I am going to use cadmium red, cadmium yellow.
Are you muted, Duree?
No?
No. No, okay.
Okay.
You
Okay,
kind
so
of-
I'm now working on the figures and giving more.
It got real quiet there for a second, that's
Yeah. For a second, I was thinking,
all. That's fine.
the thing that I was thinking was that, they are holding the trash bags. And I need to, and I didn't look at the picture and I was painting the bag on the other hand. And that's what I'm correcting now. And it matters because it is going to help bring out my figures too. Okay, now I am going to use the white, squint my eye and see what part of trash bag need to get more lighter part here. And so the top part of the trash can is more in the light. That's what I'm getting. And I will be repeating that light here. A bit of here. Yes. And on his trousers. And now, in oil painting, they say you work from dark to light. And that's true. But again, there is no hard and fast rule. Here I put the light first, and now I'm going to add the dark side of the trash can, the trash bags. And on this side too, that side. So the hardest part in painting, for me at least, is to know when to stop. I feel when, think what you want to say here. Now in this painting, I wanted to show the figures and maybe the boat so that, you know what's going on here. So when I feel that it already makes sense, I should stop here and not, which I'm not stopping right now anyway. I still have to do some finished touches. Instead of, waiting for more details. Oh, I have made the man, but what about his features? Maybe I should try that. You know, I, I wouldn't do that. That will take you away from your main message. So I'm only now fixing wherever it needs to have more work. Which is only a tiny bit of touches here and touches there. Okay, here I feel that I can take away some of the light here. Yep. So the background light can bring out the figure. So the trick is to paint dark against light, and if it is blending in more and you want to make it more prominent, then emphasize more on the contrast, as I did here. And then here, let's see. Yep. And what about this? Okay, let's get rid of that. So yeah, so this raw doesn't, you don't have to show it from the top to bottom. That's about all. I wouldn't work anymore here. And on this one, yes, I can show it here. In fact, maybe a little light here. And then some, at this point, you can even ask me questions so that I don't go quiet.
Oh, that's okay. It's fascinating how fast you can, I mean, this is less than almost 2 hours and you've got a completed painting. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the complex one. It's not it wasn't my choice. That was the only photograph I had.
It is.
Yeah,
As
it was.
Ayla says, beauty from chaos.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah. So
Duree, would it be okay if I showed your portrait of Emma in the roses?
yeah, sure. Why
It's
not? Go ahead.
when you're done. I just have it here. That's all.
Yeah, sure, sure. Even I enjoy looking at my work after a while, um, and especially when I was visiting my friend from college, and I saw my painting after I went 25, 30 years. Oh my God. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I always thought that I used to make super realistic and, with details. And I remembered that still life that I did with all the beads and the scarf and even some fancy hardware on a container. So I thought, when I looked at it, I enjoyed it. It wasn't that bad. So it's always fun to look at your older work, uh, as long as it is not in your own house. I hate looking at those. They remind me. They remind me of when you play Scrabble, and you get those big tiles with big numbers, and at the end of the game, you need to subtract that big amount. So my paintings, they do remind me of that. You're very excited when you paint it. So I'll take this off.
So, do you ever leave the white of the canvas blank?
uh, I used to do it more often. I like when I do leave it, but if it is distracting, the thing again, there is no rule. Anything that's distracting the eye from your main figure, then you fix it. And if it is not, you want to leave it, just leave it there.
So, we have a question about whether your canvas was gessoed, and it's a canvas panel.
Yes, and it's not a very fancy one.
But you always gesso first to make the paint stick.
Tried it. Do you want me to be honest or?
Oh, sure, you can lie or be honest,
Yeah.
either way.
Well, if I lie, I would like to work on fancy brands, but if I am honest, it doesn't make too much of a difference. I wouldn't say it doesn't make any difference. I do enjoy Raymar panels, and yes, those oil primed linens are also good, but it doesn't make huge difference. I can work in on any panel. It doesn't matter, but I like to have nice brushes. That's the only thing. The brush should be nice. And now I am addicted to spatula. I should have that. And that's about all. Or maybe a palette knife too. Brand of brushes, the brand of panels, brand of paints. Um, they are not super important.
And what are your favorite brands of brushes when you get the good ones?
Um, well, if it is not spoiled, that I love rosemary.
Rosemary.
I love brushes. And then another one, the Grand Prix. I love those. It's silver Grand Prix. I like Prince. Is it Princeton?
Princeton, yes.
That's also a good one. There are plenty of nice brushes that I like. But yeah, with that too. Sometimes I spoil the good brands too. And sometimes, the bad brands, they were, um, again, not particularly, not an ambassador to any of those. I don't know when I fail at painting, I can't say exactly what could be the reason. It could be just maybe, I don't know. I can't actually tell what makes a great painting and what doesn't. It's your day. Sometimes it's not your day. And again, I, the thing that actually amuses me is sometimes you are very happy with your work. It doesn't get any attention at all. And a couple of times I did win on not that great paintings. One time I did not even share that painting on the Facebook because to me it wasn't good enough and it got me the first place. So I only shared my
That's funny.
award.
Yeah.
I don't know why that happens. And like plenty of times, I would be very happy with my work and wouldn't get any attention. So again, just enjoy your painting and enjoy. I love the events. I love painting people and meeting other artists and seeing their fabulous work. But I wish I had a formula for some good work and how to do it. Keep it simple. That's the formula, I think. Uh, yeah, simple, minimum, limited palette, limited values, and limited number of values, and that's about all. I think the more you add, the more complex it is, and then it's harder for you. Sometimes it's harder for you to manage it. I think the figures are now quite clear. Sometimes I'm just too lazy to paint over those white things, then I blend them. But it doesn't work all the time. Sometimes you can blend it. And the other times, mix the color and go with it. And, doesn't the legs, I am not going to give any detail to the leg as long as they look proportionate and seem to be moving. Yeah, the girl looks a little tired, but I don't expect, well, that's what you expect from a long sailing trip, I think, after cleaning your boat. I think it is done.
It's wonderful. Really is beautiful.
Thank you.
So what we'll do is when you're absolutely finished, we can ask people to start
Start bidding, people. It's absolutely finished.
start bidding. Yes, almost finishing the bidding.
I don't want to overwork.
But then
to me, it's quite done. I don't
but
like
if it doesn't sell today, if it doesn't bid today, then Duree has agreed to donate it, and we can sell it during the plein air paint out.
Yes, I will bring it along.
So that'll be nice as well.
Yes, this is for this painting now belongs to Frank Betty Art Center. So I will be bringing it along for the paint out. And so this is recorded, right?
Yeah, it is.
That's
and
my
it's
pledge. So go ahead and bid for it. I don't think 150 is a bad deal, so don't hesitate.
what I'll ask people to do though, when you're absolutely finished, is they can turn on their video again and unmute, and then they can see you and ask any other questions or any other chat you want to have in person.
Yeah, sure. Let me sign my name and then you'll know that I'm absolutely done.
All right,
So
that sounds good.
For this sign, let me see what color I'm going to use.
We're getting lots of compliments on the chat, and I want you to hear them in person.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Your city is so beautiful. Oh my God, Alameda with Victorian houses, with the boats.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so looking forward to be there.
And we're very much hoping it can be in
paint
person.
and be with my fabulous host. I don't like to call her my, we are not friends, but that
Yes,
it was,
we're friends.
yeah, it was at Alameda Paint Out that we met.
She's the best house guest. I've got dibs on her forever.
Oh,
She cooks.
We both
that's
cook.
I hear you're a great cook too, Duree. That's
yes,
worth a week.
I don't know. Well, you know what? That's what people think. But because I cook Pakistani dishes, not many people know how to cook it. But those who do, they don't consider me a very good cook.
Thanks a lot. Shows you I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I think I'm done. I'm going to change the camera.
Okay, and so everyone else can start up your
My
video
hands
again.
are all filled with paint, and my mouse is all dirty now. Well, let me. Okay, let me get rid of this. And,
So I'm switching you back to gallery
want
view
to
so you can
have
see everyone.
have a closer look. Right.
Nancy, is this the one you wanted to show us?
Yeah, I'm just getting my cat out of the way.
Oh, okay. Well, let me spotlight you, and then people can see it.
No, that's so beautiful.
Oh, spectacular.
Flowers.
She did that
Very
of a
lovely.
little friend of mine in our backyard, photo I've had for years, and it's just my favorite photo of one of my favorite people.
Oh, it's wonderful.
So Duree is available. I'll show you up close what the texture is.
Oh, yes.
Duree is does commissioned paintings also, just so you know.
That's good. They're very good to know. And she's so good at figure drawing. I hope, Duree, you'll show us the one that we saw
Oh,
the
yeah.
other day.
Okay. Let me show. Wait. Have I changed my? I did a couple of.
Here, well, let me spotlight you again. There we go.
Oh,
This is what I did in oil.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I actually did two. That day, was that the last day? Yeah, I did.
The other one was a group, a couple of people sitting together, looked like. I couldn't believe how fast you said you did them. About 2 demos in about an hour, I think you said.
Yeah, yes.
was
Amazing.
one of them Catherine's grandchildren?
No, this was all the one in the class.
Yeah,
No, it's this one. It's the one she's about to show us.
Oh, okay.
This was from
Yeah, this was the other
Yeah,
one.
this-
I did.
Whitney's.
Yes, that was
I
one
love
of them.
that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, this was also another. These two I did in one, and the other day I did these two in watercolor.
Yes, that was the one we saw.
Oh, you
That's
did?
watercolor. Wow.
Yeah, it's the same reference.
Wow.
These are the watercolors. Yeah, I think watercolor is my first love, but
Ah.
in watercolor, what you need the most is confidence. More
Oh,
than
it's so cute.
Yes.
technically speaking, watercolor is the easiest medium. It's so easy to do watercolor, right? But the trick is that you mess up yourself just by the lack of confidence, and that happens in my case too.
Yeah.
Because watercolor actually takes control of your paint, and
Yeah.
and it knows its job better than you do. That conflict, when you need confidence to get that conflict, and I love it. I love that that stress and that everything about watercolor. I love watercolor, but I maybe not as good.
Duree, I have to go, but it was wonderful.
Oh, okay. I think it is. Is it time? Yeah, it is 6 o'clock. So
Yeah, it's Martha.
oh, Martha, you're here too. Thank you so much. Are you back?
Hi, wait. No, I'm still in Cabo. Can you see the swimming pool
Oh
back there?
my God,
Oh.
beautiful. Oh, I envy you. You are having fun with your daughter, right?
I am, and I'm painting too.
I'm
So
so glad that you joined us. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy.
I'll see you when I get back.
Okay, see you. Martha is the one who actually introduced Croquis Cafe. She does it for friends, and we used to do it with her. And then I and my sisters, we like to draw a lot. So I subscribed, and my sister and we draw almost every day.
And the sister is here.
Oh, Busha, you're also here. I didn't even know that you were here.
I was here.
Sister.
Yep. And you revealed it like a magic, Divya ji. It was beautiful.
Was it? I was telling.
Yeah,
telling.
the painting. Suddenly it just came out.
Oh, thank you so much. I was actually talking to my friends and my sister too, and I said, call me crazy or stupid, but this is the one that I picked. That's the most complex one.
Duree, it really came out. Hi, Naila here.
Oh,
It really came out beautifully.
Oh,
It started out total chaos. I was sort of, befuzzled and everything, but then it started coming out. You're magic, girl. You're magic.
That was my point. When we are plein air painting, all we see, and that's what I get from. other artists that, oh, how do you pick? How do you pick? It's so chaotic. It's so chaotic. So I thought that maybe this is a good chance to talk about that. And I was kind of afraid too, but I said, I'm going to.
You did a wonderful job. You
Thank
did a
you so
wonderful job. I would never have, when you showed us that photograph, I said, well, yes, a bit stupid, a bit crazy, but okay, let's see how she does it.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And thank you for all who are joining from Pakistan, because it's 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. So it's much early. We are also having a Ramadan, so we do eat early before the sunrise. So I think that helped them wake up to eat.
Yeah, but from Abu Dhabi, it was even earlier than Pakistan. So I had to get up at 3 o'clock to
Oh
see this.
my God. So that I took away the time to prepare your sari.
No, it's all right, but I loved your demo. It was
Oh,
so
thank
beautiful. Thank you for inviting me and letting me
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, everyone from around the world is welcome to come and visit us in Alameda anytime.
And
We'd love to
thank
see
you
you.
so much. Thank you
love
for
to.
hosting this for
It's
us,
a beautiful place.
center from the center. Thank you so much for hosting it for us, Rosa.
When you come visit
Thank
me,
you so much.
when you come to visit me, I'll take you to Alameda.
Definitely we'll pay a visit. Definitely.
Yeah, it's-
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Got to go now.
Beam.
Bye.
Good to see you all. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Duree, this was absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So now we can go?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, bye-bye. Have a good
Bye-bye.
wonderful day. Happy Ramadan to all those who are celebrating.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Thank you.